Welcome to the WP Builds podcast, bringing you the latest news from the WordPress community. Now, welcome your hosts, David Wormsley and Nathan Wrigley.
Hello there and welcome to the WP Builds podcast. This is episode 129, entitled How Beaver Team Can Speed Up Your Beaver Builder WordPress Website Builds. It was published on Thursday, the 23rd of May 2019. My name's Nathan Wrigley from pictureandword.co.uk, a small web development agency based in the north of England. And we'll be joined a little bit later by Tom Carless, who is the founder of Beaver Team and Beaver Team Pro. But we'll get to that in a moment. Before we begin any of that stuff, just a couple of things to mention, like I always do at the beginning of the podcast. If you wouldn't mind heading over to wpbuilds.com, there's a whole load of links at the top of the website, and I'm going to point a few of them out. wpbuilds.com/subscribe. Join our two mailing lists, one to alert you about the podcast and one to keep you updated with WordPress deals that come out as and when they come out. You can also click the iTunes button and you can, get the podcast on your iTunes account. Or there's the Google Play button for the Google Podcast app as well. Join our Facebook group. There's over 2,000 WordPress people in there talking about all things WordPress. And then we've also got things like our YouTube channel where you can get all of the content that we produce if you prefer to consume it over on YouTube. The next link is wpbuilds.com/deals. If you're in the market to buy some particular product or other related to WordPress, it's always a good idea to check this page out. We've got a load of coupon codes on there, including 20% off Beaver Team Pro, which is what we're talking about today. But there's a whole bunch of other things which you might like to look at. So if you're in the market, go and check that page out and see if there's something there. wpbuilds.com/contribute if you'd like to come on the podcast and join me, and there's quite a few people that have done it so far, about 10 minutes on a screencast. Show us something that you've done recently that you're proud of. And of course, wpbuilds.com/advertise if you would like to promote your product or service on the WP Builds podcast. The WP Builds podcast is brought to you today by the Page Builder Framework. Do you use a page builder to create your websites? The Page Builder Framework is a mobile, responsive and lightning-fast WordPress theme that works with Beaver Builder, Elementor, Breezy and other page builders. With its endless customization options in the WordPress customizer, it's the perfect fit for you or your agency. Go to wp-pagebuilderframework.com today. And we thank our sponsors for their support of the WP Builds podcast. It certainly makes it easier for us to put on each week. Okay, very, very briefly, a quick resume of what we're going to be talking about. Tom Carless is on, all the way from Canada, talking about his add-on to Beaver Builder. Essentially, if you're a agency owner or if you're a power user of Beaver Builder, you'll know that although it's brilliant, there are a few things which you repeat and do over and over again. Well, Tom has highlighted a whole bunch of these things that he thinks he can mitigate. And so his plugin, Beaver Team and Beaver Team Pro, enables you to do this. And there's a whole load of options. For example, you might want to change the color of a button throughout the whole website. Instead of finding them all, you use Beaver Team Pro and click the button once and it's all done. It's that kind of thing. Anyway, it's a lovely podcast. I've struck up a very nice friendship with Tom off the back of it, so I hope you enjoy it. Hello there. Welcome to the interview part of the WP Builds podcast. Today, all the way from, I was going to say Australia, but that's completely wrong. All the way from Canada is Tom Carless. Hi, Tom.
Hey, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. The reason I wanted to say Australia is because Tom is Australian. I'm sure Tom is Australian from his accent, but he's now living in, got that right, Whistler in Canada?
Whistler in Canada, that's right.
Tell me why an Australian is becoming a Canadian or living in Canada. What's the scoop?
It was always my dream to live in the mountains. So I made sure that when I found a wife, that she was from the mountains, and then I would convince her to take me back to the mountains with her. So that's the story she doesn't like me telling.
Yeah, I can expect.
Married a Canadian woman that lives in the mountains where I love to be.
Do you ski and snowboard and all of that business?
I do. I snowboard maybe a little bit too much when the snow is good. So yes, I do love to snowboard, but I'm getting older and older, so it's getting
Yeah,
more
it
and more
hurts
difficult.
now, doesn't it? When you get up
Oh, it
after a
hurts.
bump, yeah, it hurts. Well, I haven't got Tom on to talk about snowboarding or skiing or any of that good stuff. We've got him on to talk about Beaver Builder. Actually, not specifically Beaver Builder, because Tom is the developer of a plugin for Beaver Builder, which he's going to talk about today. And I'm hoping that lots of you guys, if you haven't heard of it before, you'll make the effort to go and check it out at the end of this, because it's really good. There's an awful lot of new stuff which he's built, and we're going to go through it piece by piece, one part at a time. So, Tom, tell us, what is this thing called? And perhaps right at the top, give us the URL so that we can find it as we're listening.
Okay, so the plugin is called Beaver Team Pro. The URL is beaver.team, beaver.team. And what the plugin does is it's kind of like a developer toolkit for Beaver Builder. So if you've ever spent time building websites with Beaver Builder, you've probably had to go back and adjust things or redo your work or change the colors around or something when the customer changes their mind. And Beaver Team is kind of my answer to those indecisive customers, I guess.
Yeah. Did this come out of real-time problems, or did you just perceive a need because of, I don't know, feedback that you were getting from other people, or did you find yourself frustrated with some aspect of Beaver Builder in daily use?
Absolutely, yeah. Pretty much every module, we call them, every module inside the plugin is kind of my procrastination from a customer that has had a change or a request that using Beaver Builder otherwise would be a really time-consuming task. So, change the border radius on every single button on the website, or we've got a new logo, so now we've got a new color, or anything like that. That's all just turned straight into this plugin, pretty much.
So the idea is that it will take a repetitive job and just make it go away. So the example of a button there, you'll be able to set a site-wide default button such that if you change it in one particular case, it changes in every particular case. Now, we've always had something akin to this functionality with saved modules and saved rows and things like that, but this allows you to do it if you've got a button kind of anywhere, right? You don't have to have a particular saved row. This would update any button anywhere. Let's start with that. I know that there's more to it than that, but is that true?
Yeah, that's right. So you can, sorry, excuse me. You can create a sort of a button or a info box or whatever you like. And if that's going to be how you're roughly going to style it on the rest of the website, similar to the saved modules, you can sort of save that. But then anytime you grab and say the button out of the Beaver Builder drawer, it will automatically have that styling. So you don't need to sort of go up into the saved modules and find the one that you want. It's just all buttons now look like you've set it. So it takes a lot of the sort of education for the customer piece out. You don't need to explain how saved rows and things like that work. It's just kind of baked straight into the basic Beaver Builder.
So what you've just described is on a typical Beaver Builder page, I lock the drawer, if you like, whatever we want to call it, where all the buttons, where all the modules are. I lock that to the left of my screen, so it feels a bit like the WordPress customizer. That's just the way I deal with it. But let's say I drag in a button. What you're saying is that your plugin, if I set it up correctly and decide I want a blue button with 4-pixel rounded corners with an icon to the left and text with this font and this color, save it. Every time I drag in a brand new button, each button will adopt those styles and what have you off the bat.
Correct, yes.
And will I be able to override that such that the customer doesn't always have to have the button with the love heart in it? They could change it to a button with a tick and change the text. Or is that button forevermore locked down as the way it looks now that I've set it up that way?
No, so it just updates the settings for the button. So after you drag it in, you can change the design to sort of anything that you like. So if you do want to update everything, you can use the next module we'll probably talk about, the bulk updates, and then you can sort of update everything as you want. So there's no sort of lock in. If you change your mind, and that's fine.
Okay, so you could have a particular. I mean, that's a really common usage case, isn't it? You know, you want an orange button with rounded corners, and that's it. You just want them all so that every time the customer goes in, there's the branding for the site. There's the orange button that we want time and time again.
Exactly.
But on a particular instance, you don't have to stick with that. You can kind of unlock that. You don't even need to unlock it. That's an exaggeration. You can just fiddle with that one. But you've got this default. So that addresses by the way, we should say buttons is just a good example. It's not limited to buttons, is it? But buttons is just a great, easy way for everybody to understand what we're talking about.
Exactly, any module.
Yeah, so, and we'll get to that in a minute as well. So would I be able to then say, okay, now the customer has come back, their orange buttons now need to be blue. I want every button to be blue immediately. Can I do that?
Yes, so that's the bulk update module. So basically, when you're in the Beaver Builder and you make a change to, say, the colors or the border radius or anything like that, there'll just be a little button there that says Update All, and you click on that, and then it gives you a few different options as to whether you want to update, just that one page, the entire website, just blog posts or anything like that. So it gives you sort of conditions so you can update your whole website sort of quite granularly.
Unless you've actually been frustrated by this problem, you probably won't realize what we're on about, but the frustration of having to, what color was it? What was the hex value of that? And you go and you open another page, or you find it in the inspector on a new tab. There's the hex code, because you forgot to save it as a default color into your color palette and so on. And what were they were 4 pixels, right? And the font was, and it's just a time suck. You do this thing over and over again, and I've very, very often wondered, could this be done? So this plugin solves that. Now, we're talking over and over again about buttons. It doesn't have to be buttons. You could, tell us what are the possibilities of things that we could do with this kind of update all default functionality?
For the default functionality, our most popular use internally is sort of creating headings and things like that are SEO friendly. I know a lot of people use sort of headings when they're just looking for large text, which is bad for SEO.
Yeah, not good.
So we'll create, like a heading text module that looks like a heading, but it's, just a proper div. It's not a heading or anything like that. So for sort of SEO purposes, we have sort of those little workarounds. And then just general styling, icons. We use Ultimate Addons for Beaver Builder a lot. So the info box module we use quite religiously. And that one we sort of first thing we ever do is set up the info box style.
Yes.
And then anytime you sort of create anything from there on, it's just ready to go and ready to modify straight out of the gate.
The info box from Ultimate Addons is the module which just keeps on giving, isn't it? It's gonna...
what can't it do?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can build an entire site with the one thing. Yeah, so I mean, I've seen it being used with it's things like, so you do the heading and you put it in an H1 tag, but also you do things like, okay, we want the padding around that H1 tag to be a certain thing, and we always want to have a background image that looks like this. And so when you drag that row in, that's all just taken care of and it's pre-filled out with all the correct stuff.
Yes. Much better put than I did.
Yeah, well, it's beautifully done. It's really nicely done, and it's just it's just the sort of stuff that you wish was there. It was always possible, but it was always manual, and now you've just lovely little twist, lovely little thought. Let's make that so that you don't have to think about it ever again. Do it once, save it, update, publish, whatever, and then you're done. There is a little quirk there, isn't there? You have to sort of save it and publish it and things like that in the right order, and save things multiple times in some cases. Is that true?
Yes. In the latest update, there's one less kind of save.
Oh,
So
good.
basically now there's just a drop down on the module, like sort of padding or anything else, and you just say this is the default.
Yep.
And then when you publish that page, that then saves the default. So now it's just kind of the one page publish.
Yep.
And then it's the default.
One of the things that I sometimes find a little bit tricky with Beaver Builder is that you don't actually know where the settings for the new things have gone. With yours, where does this live? Not the settings for the plugin itself, but let's say we wanted to make a default module. How in Beaver Builder, where would we look for the settings to say, right, make this the default heading, if you like?
Yeah. At the moment, it's a little bit of the Wild West out there. So you do need to kind of go back and track down the original module.
Yeah.
You can override it anywhere. So you can always sort of keep updating. You know, if you create a new module, you can then set that as the default. But the next version is going to have a nicer sort of saved module mode.
Oh, okay.
For you to be able to log in.
Okay, so you'll be able to see that much more than you can at the moment.
Yeah, so there'll be a list of your existing sort of defaults that you'll be able to go and edit.
Okay, right. Okay, so there's an awful lot of functionality in there. It's far more easy to see than it is to explain, but the principle is you can set defaults for just about everything so that when you drag it in, it looks how it should look, and every time you drag it in, it's set as that default. And that's going to be great for clients, isn't it? Because they genuinely don't want to go in and fiddle with the margins and the padding. They just want to go in and click the text and edit it, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. And that is a sort of a feature for us now when we do sell websites to customers, is that you have a brand pack that's sort of available to you to just drag in and just chuck it in. So if you want to do anything, your branding's ready to go.
Yeah.
And customers that like a little bit of DIY really, really appreciate that feature.
Yeah, it's a great idea. So we've dealt with 2 of the 8 possibilities. The next one, this is great. I love this. Color sync. Tell us about what the color sync is, because if you've used Beaver Builder, you've probably come up against the the color options, and this just adds a nice little extra feature.
Yeah. Well, this is, like you were saying, it comes back to that, having an extra tab open with the inspector and, Chrome extensions to find the colors that you selected for things. And it just saves you having to look around and have a list of colors saved on a Word document, or, however people do it.
Yeah, that's what I've done.
Yeah, little notepad everywhere.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, so it basically just synchronizes the colors between the Beaver Builder presets and the customizer colors. So if you make a preset while you're designing your website in Beaver Builder, then when you go back into the customizer, if you want to change your footer or your fonts, it's all available right there in the customizer. So you don't need to remember any colors that you've saved or anything like that. If you've used them in the customizer, they're in Beaver Builder, and if you've used them in Beaver Builder, they're in the customizer.
So no more having to think and go back. And honestly, I swear, even on the WP Builds website, where I've got 3 colors, I've got a blue, I've got a yellow, and I've got a slightly off black. That's it. Pretty much. Yeah. I cannot remember them. I still have the little color drop, the little Chrome extension, and every single time I have to do that. So that's great.
Unless it's black or white.
Yeah. The black one I can remember. It's hex 30 30 30. The others, no chance. It's just garbage. But yeah, so that's great. So and you don't even have to think. You don't even have to say save this now. It just does it, right?
It just does it, yeah. Everything I build, I try to make it so that you can forget it's almost there.
Yep.
So you'll be disappointed if you log in somewhere else and it's not there. You'll notice.
Yeah, you'll suddenly why isn't it in Beaver Builder? I did it in the customizer. Yeah, that's going to be a great time saver. Thank you for that one. Right, and then something very similar is called bulk color swap, which sounds as if it would almost be the same thing, but of course it's not. What's bulk color swap?
Yeah, it's almost the same, but it's not quite. So this is from a customer that 3 days before their website went live, they changed their logo and their branding and their color scheme. So the entire site was just the wrong color. So in that instance, we didn't want to go in and sort of update all the buttons from red to blue and then update all the headings from red to blue. We just wanted to update all red to blue. So that's what this module does. It lets you log in and say anything that is this color, light blue, change it now to dark green. And you just put in the hex codes, you hit go, and site-wide it just searches for that old color and replaces it with a new color.
It's an interesting use case because in that sense it was a frustration that brought it to life. You know, you were annoyed because the sort of client suddenly jumped this one on you. But I can see this being very useful as a tool to very quickly say, well, it could look like this. Or it could look like this, you know, just before you've even got to the proposal stage necessarily. You know, we can throw out 3 or 4 different versions of the same page, but here's the blue one and here's the orange one, or so on.
Exactly, yeah. And then it also enables you to sort of use the save modules. The templates.
Yep.
A lot easier. I know the Ultimate Addons, for example, they've got a lot of yellow in their templates.
Yep.
This way you can drag it in, and even though it's not the right color, you can then just go and say yellow is now green, or whatever you want. So it sort of unlocks all the templates to you a little bit more as well, and makes them more sort of brandable.
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, that's just there is a bit of value, isn't there? Because that we've all been there. We've all wasted time tracking down the 15 pages where the blue thing is, and changing it. So do it once and it's done forever. So how does that do that on a technical level? How does it kind of rewrite all the CSS? I'm just interested to know how that works.
Yeah, so Beaver Builder has a really structured lot of settings, which is great for us. So every single button, every single heading, picture, everything has sort of, for each module, it has a set, list of attributes and settings. So the color will be one of those settings. So basically my plugin just looks at every page in your site that has that color setting. So it looks through every module on every page. And if it sees that color hex string, it'll swap that over.
Right. Okay. So it just rewrites a bit of CSS and takes one thing and replaces it with another thing. Yeah, that's good.
Exactly. Yeah,
so it's not done by hierarchy or anything like that, or whatever comes last. It's just literally taking it, deleting it, and putting something new in.
At the moment, yes. We will put some conditional stuff into it eventually, but at the moment, it's just that is no longer that. It is now this.
Yep.
And then you obviously clear the cache, and then it rebuilds itself.
We'll come to clearing the cache later. The next one, I had great fun playing with this, actually. Just for fun. Was the responsive background images. Yes. Go for it. Tell us what it does, because it is cool.
Yeah. If you've ever used a background image on your sort of desktop size when you're building a website, the thing that always bugs me is if it's sort of a picture with a person sort of standing off to the right or something like that. When you shrink that down onto a mobile phone size, generally 3/4 of the person's face will be cut off. So You'll see their chin hanging out at the bottom, or you'll see someone's hand. And you won't see anything else because the picture isn't designed for mobile phone shapes. So with this module, it just enables you to choose to show a different image with different alignment on different screen sizes. So on a tablet or on a mobile screen, you can put a sort of tall and narrow photo. And then on larger screens, you can have a landscape photo.
It's an extra little bit of work, isn't it? But it's worth doing because the results are great. It genuinely is a powerful thing. If you've got an image which you have to have this bit all the time, and you don't want to lose, as you say, somebody's head, it works.
Exactly.
It really works. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's another one of those things. You don't have to use it. So when you're just building the site really quickly, you can just use a full screen image. But then when you're getting down in the nuts and bolts at the end, sort of cleaning everything up, that's when you can very easily just go in and add it in there.
Absolutely. And another one, which was possibly even more fun, was SVG backgrounds. There's just like 1,000,000,005 different possibilities. It literally, there's like a select box as big as your arm.
Need to work on that.
Yeah, no, it's great. I really liked it. Just peculiar names and just trying to find one that you like. Tell us what this does.
Yeah, so this one just creates background images that are sort of repeatable patterns. So, grids and lines and diamonds and silly patterns and things like that. Good thing is, because they're SVG images, they're vectors, you can scale them as large or as small as you want, and you won't lose any quality of the image. So if you want big lines, you can easily dial it up, or if you want a really fine sort of almost a sort of a graying sort of background with pattern, you can do that.
Yep.
And because it's SVG, it's practically no load on the website as well. It's pretty much the lightest way of adding style to a row or a column.
So it's usually, in most cases, it's just some sort of like little subtle thing. I mean, you can make it horrifically unsubtle if you like. You can make bright green with a yellow background or something, but you get these two color pickers. So you've got here's the color of the line itself. So this wavy line is blue. Here's the color of the other bit, the not line, if you like, and we'll make that white, and you can dial it right down. And if you do really nice, subtle grays and things, it really it's hardly there, but it's definitely there, and it looks really lovely, really nice. And you can change the size of them, so you can make them big, or you can make them really teeny tiny. But you can also go horrifically wrong with it, can't you? You slip accidentally on the color picker.
Pop a little lime green in there, and
but
you're off.
It's so, how many hacks have we done in the past to get that effect, to make a tessellating background image which looks cool? And you've gone to this, that, and the other site to try and find something which tessellates, and you can repeat X and repeat Y and all of that. Have you sanitized all those SVGs? They're all like cleaned up, so there's no possible horrors going on there.
So we're open to the idea of making it, letting the user upload their own SVGs
it's possible.
To then become background. But we don't want to open it up so that people can upload nasty SVGs.
Yeah.
So at the moment it's all, we sort of hand copy and pasted them in there, and they all are nothing but lines and colors. But
they're all sanitized. The SVGs is like a document format. It's not an image, and thus it comes with all sorts of interesting stuff attached to it. And if malicious stuff is able to be uploaded, then it sits on your server, and you can leverage it for all sorts of funky things, which you don't want to be happening. So, that's good to know. That's great. Thank you. Right, we've got 3 more fun things to talk about. This, of all of them, this I think is the one that offers the most power. The other ones offer lots and lots of possibilities for visually changing things and making things easier for you to do. But this one I think is going to be useful for the people actually looking at the website more. And this is conditional rows and columns. Tell us, this is blooming great. Tell us about this.
So it's coming out in the new version of Beaver Builder, but this was built before then, and is a little bit different. But basically it lets you set up a condition to display a row or a column. So say you've got an e-commerce store. If you've got a gallery, say, for your images, you can display that gallery as a huge big hero image up the top. But if you don't have a gallery, it'll just be hidden completely. And with this module, it lets you set unlimited sort of conditions to display content. So it could be anything, showing or hiding a sale button, say, if an item's on sale. Maybe it's a download on, a blog post or something like that. It just allows you to show or hide sort of, really any module.
Yep.
So you need.
A really nice use case might be there's a conditional. One of the options is location, which is fab. And I could have used this about 6 months ago. Really could have used this.
Yeah,
whereby
I was a month late.
yeah, I've got a site, and it was a button, and they didn't want the button showing to visitors outside of the UK. That was simple request, but tricky to pull off. In this case, you could have a row or whatever, and simply say, show this row if in the UK, don't show this row otherwise. But the options don't end there. It could be show this on pages only, or show this on posts only, or you can come up with a rule and anything will work. Have you got things like date options in there? Have you got like show it at this between these dates, or?
Yeah, so it accepts shortcodes.
Okay.
So you could use a date shortcode. I think there's some built into Beaver Builder anyway. So yeah, you can say if it's after Wednesday the 15th, then don't display it. And that will work. Yeah,
it's great. Really cool. And obviously, if you've ever built a site before, you'll know why this is useful. Now, two more. The second to last one, I haven't played with, don't really understand. I couldn't really find any options for this, so I'm wondering what this is. It says Auto Cache Buster. What?
Yes.
What's this? Now, we all know what a cache is. We all know that for Beaver Builder, increasingly, it's quite nice to be able to clear the cache, because things can go wrong if you save things and you haven't got the cache cleared. So what's going on? What is this auto? That's probably the word I'm most interested in.
The auto, yeah. So this is, I can't remember the guy's name, but this is sort of an extension of an existing Beaver Builder cache busting plugin. Basically, if you save a page or a post or anything like that, with Beaver Builder at the moment, it only clears that cache, the cache for that page, if you're working exactly on that page. But as we know, WordPress pulls in information from everywhere and all sorts of different places. So a lot of the time, Beaver Builder will miss updating its cache. So this plugin basically is just a brute force guy there, just hammering the clear cache button so that your page doesn't fall apart when you update something. If you update an email, or if you update something on a different page, it'll just all work. Also, when you update Beaver Builder and things like that, it'll clear your cache. So it just really aggressively clears the cache for you.
So it's automatic in the sense that it does it when you click the publish button. It'll just do it. It'll take care of it, and that's that. Now, most of us have got a different solution for there are a whole bunch of different solutions for caching. Is this configured to work with some of the leading caching solutions out there?
Yes, I don't have the list on me, but it's WP Rocket. A bunch of the big hosts as well, WP Engine and Flywheel. It tells them to clear their caches as well. And I've forgotten all of the other ones, but there's about 15 or 20.
What's it? Cloudflare, I'm guessing, might be one of them, or?
Yes, Cloudflare.
Let's say yes.
Yeah.
If it's not, it was just a lie. It never did it. But yeah, that's nice. And anybody who's played with Beaver Builder for any length of time will have had that. Why is that now over there when it should have been moved over there? Because it's cached and I can't make it go away. And yeah, that's brilliant. I like that. And finally, from this lot of the selection, the simple row templates. What's that?
So all the existing templates that you can buy or that exist in Beaver Builder as default, they're very styled. So they, depending on what it is, they'll have, different custom fonts applied. So your default fonts don't apply, or they'll have colors, or, things like that, that you end up replacing anyway when you drag a template in. So the simple row templates are really just really common layouts that, everyone uses on a website, like the 3 info boxes in the middle and then a button below. These are just all pre-built for you, but there's no colors or fonts or anything like that applied. It's all just sort of basic application. So when you drag it into your site, it'll look similar to your site because it'll have all your fonts and colors and things like that applied. So yeah, they're really simple row templates.
So it's a nice way to sort of make a quick start.
We use them a lot for wireframing with our customers.
Yeah.
We'll jump on a quick screen share and we can just sort of chuck them in really quickly, and it makes it really easy to sort of quickly build out a prototype.
Oh, I like that. I like that use. That's clever. I hadn't thought about it in that way. Yeah, I do that slightly differently, but yeah, it just made me think about something. That's good.
We always used to use the Ultimate Addons one as well, but like I said before, it always comes out yellow.
Yeah.
So then your customer goes, but wait, we don't use yellow.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about any of that.
Yeah, that's interesting. Those of us who use Beaver Builder for any length of time, a lot of us kind of worry about things like the applicability of stuff like you've built for the add-on packs like PowerPack and Ultimate Addons. Now, you've mentioned Ultimate Addons a couple of times, so I'm guessing it's working. All of these things that we've discussed in the last half an hour, it works with those two add-on packs, does it?
Yeah, so as long as you follow sort of Beaver Builder's development standards, it'll work with you. So I know PowerPack and Ultimate Addons and WooPack and all of those, and a few others that I can't remember now. They all work. There are some people that have made sort of weird hacky JavaScripty things.
Okay.
And it doesn't work with them, but any decently supported one.
Okay, that's good to know. And the other one is when we install things like PowerPack and Ultimate Addons, it comes with a slew of options, as does yours. And sometimes we don't want them all. Can we? I know the answer to this. I'm going to ask it anyway. Can we turn? Is it on-offable? Can we switch on this bit of your plugin and turn this one off and this one on and so on?
Yes, it's actually off by default.
Yes,
so when you install the plugin, nothing happens.
Yep.
Because we've all been there where you activate a plugin and then all of a sudden the page has changed. So it's all off by default. You have to go in and activate the specific modules that you want, and you can do that one by one. Each will work independently without the other. There's no dependencies or anything like that. And you can also control the user permissions. So you can say only admins can use it, or only editors can use the features of the plugin.
Okay.
So the plugin remains active, but doesn't work for people that can break stuff.
Great. So, the situation we were talking about earlier where we come up with a default button, they can use that default button, but they can't modify that default button. That would be up to you. Yeah.
Correct.
I'm liking it. Yeah, very clever. That is great. Anybody that's not checked it out, I'm possibly, Tom, forgive me if I'm speaking out of turn, but I'm gonna say that the correct URL is beaver.team/pro. If you want to go to investigate it.
That's correct.
Yeah, good. That's great. I'm glad. And it's available for sale right now at the time of recording. It's a yearly subscription model, and looks to me like something that if you really are building a lot of Beaver Builder websites, it's pretty much indispensable. It's going to save you an awful lot of time, and time, as they say, is money. It's not just that you're doing, though, because if you go to beaver.team without the pro on the end, what's that all about? That's a completely different thing altogether, nothing to do with plugins.
No. So in my years of building websites with Beaver Builder, I've accumulated a lot of knowledge and speed, I guess. When you work on something all day, every day, it gets pretty fast for you. So Beaver Team was kind of my outlet to do just Beaver Builder work mainly for other agencies and other web developers, so that they can get back to managing their customers and and selling more websites and things like that. So instead of building 13 different pages, you can just flick it over to us and we'll build it for you. So there's a lot of time savings there for you. And we get to play with Beaver Builder, which we love.
Yes. And you are taking well, there's a form on your website where if you are a heavy user of Beaver Builder, you believe that you've got speed and you can contribute things and you're capable, you can ask to be part of this team if you like.
Exactly, yeah. So we've got our internal team is all works through Beaver Team. But then, like you said, if you're a professional Beaver Builder, if you can pump out sites before you've even had your morning coffee, then we'd love to have you on there. And we don't charge or anything like that. It's more of just sort of a community. These are the guys that we think are great Beaver builders, and chat directly with them. We don't take a cut or anything like that. It's just for you.
It's a philanthropic thing. That's really cool. So go over to beaver.team if you are a heavy Beaver Builder user and you want to reach out to Tom and say, hey, I can use Beaver Builder. I might be able to help you out. And Tom, no doubt, will get back in touch with you to take it from there. Yeah, we've been going for about 37 or 8 minutes, which is just perfect, actually. So I'm going to knock it on the head in a moment. But before then, Tom, do you want to have the soapbox, if you like? You can talk for any length of time you like. Tell us about your Twitter handle or your email or anything you want to say. Go for it.
I should get a Twitter, but I don't have one. Yeah, but basically, I'm just on a bit of a mission to get Beaver Builder out into those agencies' hands. I just think it's the best darn plugin in the world. So anyone that wants to get into Beaver Builder and needs a hand, or wants to know the best way to get set up or anything like that, reach out to me anytime. Probably the best way to get me is on my email, which is tom@beaver.team.
Groovy. Now, I'm going to make Tom, I don't know if he is already, but I'm going to make Tom join our Facebook group. And
I'm there.
Oh, great. Yeah, there. Sorry. I never know quite who's in or not. So, if you start typing Tom space CAR and see what gets auto-filled, you might be able to get him that way as well. Yeah, thank you, Tom, for coming on and telling us all about your fantastic additions to the Beaver Builder plugin. Great to have you on. You're very, very welcome. Thank you if you've been listening to this episode. Really appreciate it. We've been WP Builds, and I'm Nathan Wrigley. We'd always appreciate it if you can go over to the podcast player on the wpbuilds.com website. There's a whole slew of buttons underneath there, and iTunes seems to be a very, very good way to help us promote the podcast. I don't know why, but I think Apple has the lion's share of this kind of stuff sewn up. So if you go over there, that would be most helpful. And go to the wpbuilds.com website and click on the links at the top to find deals and webinars and all that kind of good stuff. So yeah, once again, thanks, Tom. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the podcast today. It was very nice to chat to Tom about his Beaver Team Pro plugin. I always enjoy talking to people who can save me some time, and he certainly does that in Beaver Builder. Just to let you know, just to recap, that if you go over to the wpbuilds.com/deals page, you'll find a coupon code for 20% off Beaver Team Pro, so that might be useful to you. The WP Builds podcast was brought to you today by WP and Up. 1 in 4 of us will be directly affected by mental health related illness. WP and Up supports and promotes positive mental health within the WordPress community. This is achieved through mentorship, events, training and counselling. Please help enable WP and Up by visiting wpandup.org/give. Together, we can #press forward. Okay, perhaps we'll see you back here next Thursday for a new podcast, or come and join us on Monday for the WordPress Weekly News. And also on a Monday at 2 p.m. UK time, I get 4 guests, including myself, on a live podcast where we talk about the WordPress Weekly News, and it's becoming increasingly popular. So if you haven't checked that out, go to our YouTube channel, wpbuilds.com/YouTube, and you can find it there. Or come and join us live and comment on the nonsense that we speak. Okay, I'm going to fade in some cheesy music and say bye-bye for now.